Our final digital story is centered around the information and telemedicine communications technology pilot programs that are scattered across the United Republic of Tanzania, located in East Africa, as well as the diseases they target. Between 2001 and 2005, the Tanzanian government began to enact privacy laws and promote equal access to telemedicine despite being understaffed and having little access to funding. Other challenges have included terrible electricity services, lack of internet access, and poor phone connections. Despite these challenges, Tanzania has made great progress within the realm of eHealth and telemedicine. The Tanzanian government outlines in their national eHealth strategy that by 2018, eHealth will enable a safe, high-quality, equitable, efficient, and sustainable health system for all citizens by using information communications technology to enhance planning, managing, and delivering health services in Tanzania.
Some strategic goals and principles of the Tanzanian National eHealth Strategy include 1. Introducing electronic communication and record keeping to increase efficiency and connect the network of health service providers, thereby overcoming fragmentation and duplication of service delivery within certain areas. 2. Providing sufficient care to patients in rural or disadvantaged communities while guaranteeing patients' information rights and confidentiality. And 3. Supporting in technology investment, development, standardization, and research as a means to future growth within the eHealth system. The last page of the National eHealth Strategy states that a well-defined governance structure is crucial to establishing eHealth within Tanzania, and that it should include visibility, coordination, and control of eHealth activities. And after eHealth is firmly established, the goal of governance is to assure all stakeholders that operations will go as expected, that the results.
Although Tanzania is located on the African continent, much of its history is associated with Europe and the Middle East. Tanzania was originally colonized by Arab traders, but the Portuguese and the British struggled to gain power over the area until the British claimed Tanzania for Queen Victoria in 1890. After World War I, Great Britain considered allowing the territory to become its own nation separate from royal crown, but this didn't officially take place until 1964. Tanzania fought to maintain its independence just 14 years later when Ugandan troops launched an attack in 1978. This attack was led by the dictator, Idi Amin, and the Tanzanian army was joined by the many Ugandans who had fled Idi Amin's cruelty. During this time, Tanzania was ruled by a single political party, and it wasn't until 1995 that the government instated a multi-party presidential election. This election was won by Benjamin William Mkapa, who held office from 1995 to 2005. During Mkapa's presidency, government involvement in health grew, particularly targeting AIDS and HIV treatment and prevention. And in the years since Mkapa stepped down, AIDS has remained a leading cause of death in the country.
According to one database's estimation, in the year 2011, roughly 400 new cases of AIDS were identified each day within Tanzania. That same year, 83,528 Tanzanians died from AIDS. In 2012, approximately 1 million Tanzanians were diagnosed with AIDS, while 1.5 million more Tanzanians were diagnosed with HIV. It is important to note the differences between HIV and AIDS. HIV stands for Human Immunodeficiency Virus. Most viruses can eventually be cleared from your body through your immune system, but not HIV. It doesn't just weaken your immune system, it immobilizes it. That means once you have HIV, you have it for life. By immobilizing your immune system, HIV also leaves your body vulnerable to any other virus or infection that threatens it. Thus, people with HIV are at risk of dying at a younger age than most others. AIDS, on the other hand, is the final stage of HIV infection. It stands for Acquired Immunodeficiency Syndrome. AIDS is seen as a syndrome because it's not just one disease, but a collection of diseases that are acquired after HIV destroys the body's immune system.
HIV and AIDS are more prevalent in sub-Saharan Africa than in any other region of the world. In 2011, the sub-Saharan region accounted for 23 million of the world's 34 million recorded cases of HIV. Tanzania currently has a population just short of 50 million. Every year, 1 million new cases of HIV are diagnosed, and a significant percentage of that 1 million will come from Tanzania. These numbers are usually attributed to the adult population. Multiple international and governmental organizations within Tanzania are unsure of the total number of children living with HIV. Diagnosis aside, if it's difficult to estimate the correct number of adults who are HIV positive, then it's even more difficult to pinpoint just how many children will test positive for HIV. The surest indicator is whether or not their parents have tested positively for the virus, but that's not always 100% true. HIV is a silent but prevalent killer and has now surpassed warfare as the number one reason for Tanzanian children becoming orphans, with more than 1.3 million children in Tanzania alone having been orphaned by AIDS.
I, Sally, have friends named Steve and Susan Vinton living in Tanzania who are involved with a clinic there. They work with an organization called Village Schools International to provide the children within their particular village with at least an 8th grade education. After living there for several years, they noticed just how rampant AIDS was within their village and how much it affects both the students in their school and the students' families. So the wife, Susan Vinton, raised financial support from friends and family in the United States and arranged for a bus between their Tanzanian village and the nearest clinic that would give free rides and free vaccines to those fighting AIDS. To my knowledge, this clinic incorporates eHealth and telemedicine in their practices.
And I, Wagatha, though I am from Eritrea, which is also located in East Africa, feel a connection to Tanzania because of my East African heritage. Hearing the exciting things that Sally has said are going on in Tanzania, I would love to somehow make those things happen in Eritrea sometime in the future. Although Eritrea is a fairly young country, I believe that with the right people and enough motivation, it will progress and soon use eHealth and telemedicine in the same way Tanzania does. In 2009, the United Republic of Tanzania conceived of a national eHealth strategy that would unite the different information communication pilot projects. Funding for the strategy was secured in 2012. The strategy was launched in 2013, and it is set to run until the year 2018.
This national eHealth strategy has 4 main points. 1. Leveraging what currently exists in the Tanzanian eHealth landscape. 2. Understanding what the new components are and where they fit into existing structures within that landscape. 3. Defining and detailing those information structures to fit current needs and support anticipated ones. And 4. Demonstrating how technology and resource constraints dictate what is feasible and what actions should be taken in the future. Unlike the USA, Tanzania is not divided into states, but it is divided into 25 administrative regions, each of which dictates how eHealth may operate within its own region. As of 2013, there are 237 hospitals, both public and private, and 481 health centers. Of the hospitals, 57 are owned by the government, and 35 are owned by faith-based organizations that collaborate with the government. Although this is good news, the government is always seeking to improve the system. It recognizes that having lots of clinics is not the complete solution to its needs, and that eHealth must be integrated into the system if it wants to provide its citizens with affordable care. Prior to the implementation of this strategy, Tanzania has faced a shortage of qualified medical personnel, as well as epidemics of HIV and AIDS, tuberculosis, malaria, and a poor infrastructure within the national healthcare system. The Tanzanian government hopes that the national eHealth strategy will provide its citizens with a safe, efficient, and sustainable health system that can withstand high costs and demands.
The strategy has been developed in 2 phases and has been invested in by 2 different groups. 1, a steering committee comprised of health officials appointed by the Tanzanian Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, and 2, stockholders and nonprofit organizations. Development has taken many forms, including workshops, surveys, discussion groups, interviews, and review from the World Health Organization. The Tanzanian Ministry of Health and Social Welfare understands that the strategy must be multi-tiered in order to adequately service the needs of the public. One of those tiers focuses on health education through blended learning. Blended learning adds information communication technology training, or in simpler terms, ICT training to medical students' curriculum. This helps them fully utilize the equipment they need to offer telehealth services to their future patients. While blended learning is mostly provided through online training, the National Health Strategy emphasizes that ICT training should also be available offline in case of an emergency.
Establishing a solid ICT infrastructure for telehealth should include A, an electronic logistics and supplies system, B, an electronic human resources system, and C, an electronic water, sanitation, and hygiene monitoring system. Much of the current information about water, sanitation, and hygiene use in Tanzania is either incorrect or incomplete. The Ministry of Health and Social Welfare intends to use ICT solutions to address the information gaps in the way data on Tanzanian hygiene is generated, shared, and stored. The government plans to monitor this data through a mobile phone supported network. Another tier of the National eHealth Strategy calls for common procedures and terminology that must be enforced across information systems at all levels. This is crucial to data management because much of the eHealth logistics data is inaccessible, incomplete, or missing due to lack of standardized eHealth terminology and procedure. And that's not the only challenge. Mismanagement of data, loss in patients' follow-up, and referral ambiguities can cause many to question the quality of the system as a whole.
Referral ambiguities are a much bigger problem in Tanzania than in the United States. In Tanzania, access to medical specialists is difficult because of the health sector's limited resources. Inefficient processes further aggravate the problem, making it common for patients to be referred to by a specialist with adequate information about their health conditions. They will also be sent without a prior examination or clear questions for the specialty consultant. Poorly organized referrals results in wasted or ineffective specialty visits that can further worsen access to specialty care and impede the overall quality of care provided. Protecting patient confidentiality is another concern in eHealth. Complete privacy is ideal for the patient, but it must also be balanced with the need to manage and protect all Tanzanian citizens' public health, especially when government and public alike need to be notified of emerging diseases or outbreaks. Tanzanian healthcare providers use mobile phones to track and respond to epidemics, take pictures of blood and urine samples, determine drug resistance, and perform ECG and pregnancy tests. In 2012, healthcare kiosks made their first appearance in East Africa.
The eHealth mobile apps in Tanzania are classified into two different groups. Synchronous virtual care involves the use of video services which require the patient and clinician to interact in real time. Conversely, asynchronous virtual care uses software to connect patients and clinicians through forms, questionnaires, and photo sharing. Asynchronous virtual care is web-based, mobile-optimized technology that has been praised by many experts for its advantages over synchronous virtual care. Hypnosis is an example of asynchronous virtual care. The Hypnosis mobile app is fast, efficient, and records every answer to every question the patient asks. It is discreet in the event that the patient does not want others to overhear as he or she shares sensitive health information with his or her care provider. It also eliminates the hassle of scheduling or video setup. Hypnosis isn't free, but it's cheaper than a doctor visit, and it saves the patient the gas money and time it would take to reach a medical clinic.
Hypnosis isn't the only eHealth app in use in Tanzania, and in Africa especially, mobile apps are designed to be a part of the eIDSR system. eIDSR is short for the Electronic Integrated Disease Surveillance and Response System. One of the apps in this system is called Sense Follow-Up. Sense Follow-Up is a free 5-star app that is frequently used on people who have been in contact with an Ebola patient. eHealth Africa, the app's developer, has released various versions of the app, each specifically designed to meet the needs of users from different African countries. Though dozens of Ebola tracking apps exist, Sense Follow-Up was by far the most popular available to the general public. Another useful app is AppScript. Since January 2015, it has been estimated that there are over 40,000 health apps currently available. This number is large because it includes apps on food, fitness, and general well-being, but there are also some apps that provide diagnostic and treatment services. AppScript classifies and evaluates the array of available eHealth apps in order to help its users identify which ones are right for him or her. AppScript ranks apps based on functionality, certification, peer and patient reviews, and the potential to improve health outcomes and lower the cost of care. AppScript also enables physicians to both prescribe and track app use among patients using any mobile interface.
Many eHealth apps are free, but the best ones cost money and may be limited to use by healthcare providers. One such app is the HIV and Hepatitis Guide Pro. The app provides regularly updated information on HIV and AIDS and is available for offline use, which is precisely what the Tanzanian government calls for. Apps like I Stay Healthy are useful for patients who want to track their personal medical information, including HIV medication. After they have been seen by a medical professional, the app lets their results be exported via email or Dropbox. It also contains a glossary explaining HIV-related terms and can notify its user when it's time to receive another drug dosage. Other apps, such as HIV iChart, lets users explore treatment options for HIV, including drug information and side effects, and then discuss with their doctor which one is right for them. HIV iChart also lets users cross-check between HIV medications to see whether or not the drugs will interact well together. This highly rated app, made for both iPhone and Android, is available offline, only needing the occasional update.
Only 2 apps exist under the search terms eHealth in Tanzania. One is a dictionary for medical terminology in Swahili, and the other is a health mapping app that allows its users to download, send, and sign medical forms. Neither were very popular. Most who use eHealth apps in Tanzania prefer to use highly rated, globally used apps instead. In our personal opinion, one of the downsides to that is that the most of these apps are not available in Swahili, Tanzania's national language. In order to use these apps, users must be able to speak English. This means that many Tanzanians living in rural areas, the ones these apps are meant to benefit the most, may not be able to access the information they need due to a language barrier. As we continue moving into 2015, Tanzania's national eHealth strategy has reached half of its goals. By June 2015, blended learning will be fully incorporated in the system. By December 2015, all electronic content will be fully developed. By 2016, digital resources for all of Tanzania's health programs will be optimized and available for use. And by 2018, at least 4 national health campaigns will be held annually. We believe that eHealth and telemedicine capabilities will continue to improve, not just in Tanzania, but globally.